In this video, we deal with some unwanted guests. This crazy wild cow has some terribly bad feet, in desperate need of our attention. Craig bites off more than he can chew, and the boys forget how to ride a quad. This is the Hoof GP.
Let it rush when I see you dance, and the moment comes when I fall and time goes slow. I fall into you.
He had one job, and he's crashed the crush. Here in southwest Scotland, believe it or not, this is how we show love for each other, by ripping into each other at every opportunity. This job's fantastic for keeping you fit. You just can't beat a bit of manual labour, can you? He hasn't quite realised that actually you can get on the bike and move it short distances like that, but he's getting there. Just like that, we are a go. Come on lads, on you go. On you go. Love that.
I won't let you go. Put your arms around me and I'll let you know how it feels when time goes slow. And I won't let it rush when I see you dance, and the moment comes when I fall and time goes slow. I fall into you.
On every farm, we work our way through the herd that we have to deal with, dealing with small issues like this. They're commonplace and very, very easy to deal with, so we don't usually focus on them during these videos. That being said though, today we have a few issues that are a little less common. These problems can be quickly solved and quickly trimmed. We just need to remove the weight from the surrounding area of the problem and make sure that any loose and detached hoof horn which might insult and make the problem even worse is removed from around the lesion. Then if the weight hasn't been completely removed from this area, we transfer it using a block onto the good claw. This is what's known as a common sole ulcer, and I am 100% certain that after this simple and very quick trim, it will be completely fixed. Just a quick splash of iodine, and just like that, this little girl is on her way to true comfort and makes way in the crush for this big bull. So the bull you just seen us get in was lame a few weeks ago, and Mark and the guys here have attended to his hip, which was seriously infected. At the time we didn't really want to lift his foot too much and put pressure on his leg because we thought it was his hip, but now that the abscess has been dealt with so well, we can lift his foot, and there is a problem with it. So Mark, this is Mark, say hi Mark.
Hi Mark.
Mark's just telling me that they think this bull had a problem when he was bulling a heifer, so doing his job in other words, and he broke his tail, and the infection from after breaking his tail has travelled down into his hip, and now it travelled all the way down into his hoof, and that sounds really, really likely. But he's in good hands here. Unfortunately, we regularly come across cows or bulls which have hurt themselves higher up the leg, and that's just completely out of our jurisdiction, which is where people like Mark and them working closely with the local vets is massively helpful for these animals. Although the infection is subsiding, his hoof is now full of that infection, as you're just about to see. When we remove the detached outer layer of hoof horn, what lies beneath is anything but pretty. Code brown. In instances like this, I'm afraid it is a case of making the best out of a bad situation. Until the infection completely subsides, it's unlikely that this hoof will make a full recovery. What we can do though is make him more comfortable by applying that block and starting to dry out the infection site using this salicylic acid and iodine wrap. Once this infection's been taken care of by the vet and their wondrous drugs, we'll return and hopefully retrim that bull so that we can do even more for him. In the meanwhile, it's time to get on with the job.
Son, when you grow up, you'll be fine. I know you've got questions on your mind. Life is gonna happen one way or the other.
Right, we have a cow here that Craig didn't even bother to finish the last time he was here. This is, or was, a very, very lame cow, and Craig got halfway through the trim and just stopped.
I think there was a very good reason for why I stopped him.
Nope, no, I'll tell you the truth. So 4 weeks ago today, Craig was trimming this cow, and we're not really sure how he did it, but he tried to amputate one of his pinkies. And I'll be completely honest, he didn't do a very good job because it's still there. So the knife slipped, and this is what happened to his finger. This photo doesn't really do it justice, to be honest. It was really, really deep. In fact, it was probably close to the bone. And Craigie Boy, in his wisdom, came over to me, not wanting to disappoint, not wanting to annoy us or upset the apple cart, and said, I think I need a plaster. And what was my response?
I think you need stitches.
So Craig had a quick trip to hospital. And luckily, it's all healed up now, hasn't it? Look, actually, here's the photo before, and as you can see, it's pretty graphic and gruesome. And here is how his finger looks today. As you can see, Craig is preparing to get his fingernails painted beautifully.
I have lovely nails.
Going for a bit of a French manicure look there. But no, I'm chuffed to bits because he could have cut the underside of his finger, in which case he would have got the tendon, and that would have been very, very serious. But as it is, it's healed up lovely. Anyway, let's get this cow's foot checked over. So her foot was completely open. You can see all of this yellow hoof horn here. That is where the serums from the blood have been seeping into the hoof horn as it is rebuilding. If we look up here though, towards the heel, it's not quite healed. The whole of this sole had been removed, and Craig had begun to peel all of this away. And then between Kevin and I, we finished off the job by completely removing all of the external layers of detached hoof horn. This was completely open, so we wrapped it and applied this TP block. And now, because genuinely the guys at this farm are so good, they've given us our back on our next visit just to recheck and to make sure that it is moving forward. These rechecks, if you're a farmer or a dairyman watching this, they are unbelievably important. You can do the best trim in the world, but if you don't do a recheck sometimes, the cow just will not completely heal. They can just start to go wrong, and just those few swipes of the knife on a recheck can be the difference between a cow going lame again or being chronically lame, so lame forever, or returning to full health. And hopefully, with a couple of swipes of this knife here, this cow will return to full health. So I don't really want to cut into this deeply. I just want to ensure that all of this hoof horn that has regrown in the past month, so there will have been around 6 or 7 millimeters of hoof growth in that last month, so I have got some depth back that I can play with. But obviously, if we go too far, we're going to create the problem all over again. It's things like this that need checked. I need to make sure that this crack isn't continuing up the inside of this abaxial wall and causing a problem, which I don't think it is, but that muck getting trapped in there causes a pressure that we could really do without. Lovely. Like, I'm just going to check this with my thumb to make sure that it's all nice and hard and remove this really high spot here. This is the periopal horn I've told you about before, and it is very flexible, look. So I need to be careful I don't go too far there. Just remove these small fractures. or small imperfections, not fractures. Clean it around about the open part of the lesion. This is a really good example of beauty not being everything. This hoof has got little dark bits on and little bits of dirt on and some small cracks. Leaving the hoof horn there is much more important to the cow than taking away just for cosmetics. We're never going to see this foot again once it's on the ground. You don't want to just make the sole of the cow's hoof white because it looks pretty. You want to make sure everything you do is functional. And as you spray this Repoderma on, you don't want to do it too closely, because doing it closely means the gas blows all of the product out of the way. You actually want to have the can slightly further back so that it builds up a good thick layer of it. Just like that. And that's her done. So I've explained it to you guys before. This farm is a big group of farms, and we get cows in from all over the place, including farms that have like no connection to this place. And we're here to patch them up and send them on their way. And this cow, let's just say she's probably not that fond of humans because she's not been around humans that much. So yeah, in the business we would say this is a wild cow. Hopefully not too wild, for our sakes and hers. And so we've just treated a very simple sole ulcer, and we're having coffee, to be honest, as the glue dries. I've sprayed it with iodine, and now I've noticed another problem, which, yeah, look at this. So truth be told, I cleaned this lesion out, sprayed it with iodine, and then these maggots have started to appear. I did not see them at all to begin with. I'm wondering where they came from. They're just totally gross. I hate dealing with anything like this, but removing them is seriously satisfying. Can you see they're all actually dying because of this iodine? So we're going to wash it all out using iodine. It's weird, you know, it makes your skin crawl. It's horrible. They do a little bit of good. I know you guys in the comments are going crazy over that. They do, but there's also a process called myiasis. And myiasis only happens with a certain type of maggot, and basically they'll start eating all of the good flesh too. Right, we're going to get this cleaned right out and dressed up to get rid of every single one of those little... Anyway, we make sure we get this hoof as clean as we possibly can. We don't have access to a hose, which is why we're using a small bottle of water. But it does the job, and we get it as clean as we need to. Can you just imagine those horrible little cretins crawling around inside your hoof, foot, shoe, whatever you want to imagine? It could be nice. Anyway, as I've just shown you, iodine does completely kill them. So we've doused it again with iodine, and we're going to wrap it with salicylic because I want to make certain every single one of them is dead. It's weird, isn't it? You'd think that would put me off my coffee, but there's zero chance of that happening. She's still really feeling that foot, obviously. Us messing around like that, and even the iodine itself on an open wound will sting. But a few days' time, she will feel miles better. Right, on to this lovely little darling, who hopefully isn't as wild as she first seems. Hopefully. Pray for us. So this red Limousin cow, which I said was pretty wild, is coming in now. And what we're going to do is leave the last cow in the crush so that she knows where to go. These cows have got a really strong herding instinct, and we want it to be as straightforward as possible because this cow will be very wound up just having us anywhere near her, to be honest. She's actually bashed her mouth because she's been running around so much. It's things like this that the general public can misconstrue. This cow's really wound up, but she's got a really sore foot, so we need to get her in the crush, otherwise she's just going to be in pain for longer and longer and longer and longer. Anyway, right, I'm going to shut up and get around. Calm down. Calm down. Calm down. Calm down. Hey, calm down. We might actually bring the other cow as well to keep her calm. Dealing with cows like this, you need to be swift and decisive. You need to deal with them effectively but efficiently as possible, because things can go wrong very quickly. These cows are scared, and that's why they're acting in this way. Once we've got her in the KVK, we get the belly bands up and it starts to calm her down, but she's not standing well. In a weird way, it's lucky that she starts to kick, because it helps her to stand up. And then we tighten the bands a little more before lifting all 4 legs as quickly and as swiftly as we can. It's not just about restraining her. Believe it or not, when cows are in the crush, the feeling of being squeezed slightly by the belly bands actually calms them down. We need to lift all 4 of her feet as quickly as we can, because once she's secure and all of her feet are lifted up, she'll calm down. She'll actually feel safer. But we need to get on with it because she will be stressing out. Here's one of the problems. She's got a necrotic toe here. If we go down to this level, we'll see it much more clearly. Yeah. When you're dealing with cows and bulls who are highly strung and nervous like this cow is, it can and often does look very rough and ready. But when you all see the problems she has with both of her back feet, you're going to understand and appreciate the real need to get her in the crush. In this case, we'll try to get the block on as quickly as we can so that she's got enough time for it to completely bond on there and it won't break. But we need to get that on as quickly as possible, because if she really does start to kick off, these animals have a huge amount of power. And to be honest, we would just let her go if she was going to hurt herself. So if we get the block on at least, then we've still done a job. Clearly we want to finish the trim though, but if she was going ballistic, we would let her go so that she didn't hurt herself. See that hole that we could see from the underside, now we can see where it actually leads, right up into the heart of this hoof. Really hard because she's probably on either on a straw-bedded pen or somewhere outside, and the weather here in southwest Scotland, believe it or not, is actually really warm right now. You can see all of this is just wall horns. We're going to take this back with the grinder now as far as we can. This is toe necrosis. It's when the bone inside the hoof capsule itself starts to die, and all of the arteries, flesh and tissue that surround that bone die along with it. The hoof wall you can see here is constructed high up on the hoof around the coronary band, basically where the hair meets the hoof horn. It grows down and it's completely unaffected by the fact that the bone inside is dead, but it leaves a hollow cavity inside. A cavity that is filled with dirt, dung and manure very quickly. These Limousin cows, the breed of cow that's in the crush right now, are known for having a fiery temper. Unfortunately, a full and complete recovery is completely impossible for a cow's hoof like this. We can only hope that good healthy hoof horn grows over the lesion and seals it up from the elements. So we'll just move straight on to the second foot, which I actually think is the same problem, while Kevin gets this one wrapped up. Normally we wouldn't want to wrap a cow that was as stressed out or highly strung as this cow is, because it's difficult for the owners to take it back off, but maybe we'll just come back and do it ourselves. This hoof has a very similar problem to the last one, but to a slightly greater degree. We're going to remove even more hoof horn from this outside claw. In instances like this, the idea is to remove the affected hoof horn to stop it from infecting and decaying its surroundings. We need to make sure we remove every single shred of this infected, deteriorating and decaying hoof horn, otherwise progress is pretty much impossible. She's actually behaving much better than I thought she would, but that's partly down to the KVK restraining her so well. This is toe necrosis at its finest. It just basically decays the whole bone inside, and everything round about it dies and leaves this huge hollow void right up the interior of a cow's foot. Just keep an eye on where the hoof is right now and how much of it I'm about to remove. You see here, there's a tiny little bit of the red stuff appearing. That is our cue to stop. I want to remove all of this, but I can't because we cannot cut into her flesh in any way. A vet could do it, but a vet would use local anesthesia so the cow wouldn't feel any pain. We don't have access to that, so we can't. But we are getting there. A little sharp bit there that I couldn't get to before. I'm actually really happy with this. We are limited as to what we can do as hoof trimmers, but we've managed to remove a huge amount of the problematic hoof horn. As you can see, almost half of this claw has completely gone, and it's not really because we've cut it away. It was problematic, decaying, dead hoof horn. Hoof horn itself isn't ever really alive. It's what's within the hoof capsule that is alive. But in this cow's case, what has gone is dead, and what was remaining and surrounding that cavity is what we have removed. Right, we're just about done with this cow. Her front feet are actually absolutely perfect, so we're not going to trim them. They are in the air, so we've checked them. But it's just about time to let this lady out of the crush, and hopefully it goes smoothly. So here, as we go to let her out, we try to do it as quickly as we possibly can. Kevin is standing fairly precariously, and I do question him on whether he should stand there or not, but he says it's definitely fine, so we're good to go. And away she goes like a racehorse out of a trap. Cows like this are just not used to human beings, and that is why they're so scared. They're not sure what's happening, they're away from their herd mates, and to be quite frank, they just are so petrified that they become scary to us as humans. If you look at her here just now, you'll see her ears are pricked right up, her head's up because she's trying to look around her like this, all over the place. I'm still really happy though, because we've done this cow a great service, and to be honest, she behaved miles better than I thought she was going to. Believe it or not, that is nothing like the wildest cow that we've ever seen. Right, for now, that is everything from the Hoof GP and from this crew here. Thank you very much for watching. And if you haven't taken notice of this little part of the video before, make sure you have subscribed, because a lot of people think they have when actually they haven't. And a lot of my videos get completely demonetized just because of the nature of what they are, which means that YouTube doesn't notify you of a new video coming out or a follow-up. So if you want those notifications, then make sure you're subscribed to this channel, the Hoof GP, and if you're on YouTube, you've got notifications turned on. Catch you later. Bye. It's really sunny, and Craig was just funny there. He kind of splashed me there with the hose by accident. Didn't you, Craig? Yeah. It was really funny. Keep that hose a second. Bugger. You're lucky, Craig. I see you hiding. You're not that lucky. Send it back up. That's all from the Hoof GP.